Hello everyone. Today I am going to talk about my wedding experience. So I got married on December 15th, 2019. So it was a little over a year ago now, and it's honestly hard to believe that it's been that long already. But I did actually a blog post on my website, which I will link below if you'd like to give it a read as well, all about what happened with my wedding experience. And I figured that it would be a really good idea to talk to you here about it, make a video about it. A lot of you have been watching me for a decade now or many years, and you have seen me go through a lot. You see me move out, go through several relationships, just everything, grow my career and my business. And so I figured that this would be a fun video to do. So basically I'm going to talk about what happened, what went wrong, what was great, what I recommend, and just things like that. So let's get into it. I will start by saying the wedding vendors that we hired and used, most of them we knew that we were going to use them before even getting engaged. I'll say I knew because obviously I am in the wedding space and the wedding industry. I know a lot of people, and so I know people personally and professionally, so I know who we're gonna vibe with really nicely, and whose work I prefer and things like that. So most of the vendors, once I got engaged, I called up right away. I knew exactly who I wanted, which was really nice and took a lot of the stress off me, because all too often I'll get these brides who, even for the hair and makeup side, they're contacting so many people. They're disappointed by some, they're confused by others, some don't respond. It's like this whole process that I didn't have to take part in. And so my hats go off to you, all those people that have to inquire among dozens of people in each part of the wedding industry, because that's a lot of work in itself. So I got lucky in that department. I will say that my wedding day was hands down one of the best days of my life. It's definitely a cliche, but I definitely would relive it if I could. It's one of those moments that feels so full of love and just overwhelming in a good way. And it does feel like it lasts for 5 seconds and then it's over. People really aren't kidding when they say it goes by in the blink of an eye. And it's a really long day. Like when you look at it, you're going from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed, which is a lot of hours in between, because there's the getting ready process, ceremony, reception, driving, whatever you have to do. It's a long day. And yes, you're tired at the end of it, but you're also on a high because of how amazing it was. And yeah, I was tired, but I also didn't need to go to bed right away. It was a weird, a weird feeling, but I definitely enjoyed it and I recommend it 10 out of 10. So to give you an idea on the timeline of the day, our ceremony was set to begin at 2 p.m. and our whole wedding reception was going to be done at 8 p.m. So we had about 2 to 3 for the ceremony and then 3 to 8 for cocktail hour and the reception. And we did this specifically because we got married on a Sunday. So we knew that people would have work the next day and school the next day and kids to take care of and things like that. And we just felt it didn't make sense to have a wedding until 11 or 12 o'clock at night on a Sunday night. In addition to this, we were playing with light. So in December, sunset is much earlier than it is in summertime. So I wanted the golden hour pictures, and we were not doing a first look. So the first time we were seeing each other was when I walked down the aisle, which meant that we had to get all of the bride and groom pictures, bridal party pictures, family pictures, all of that in during cocktail hour. And we had to time the light right. So that's also what played into the fact that the ceremony was at 2. I think sunset was like 4:15 or 4:30. So that's kind of where our mind was at. Now the day started about 5 a.m. So I always love it when clients don't want an early start to their day when it comes to getting ready for hair and makeup. But this is where I say, first of all, you're on such an adrenaline high that you're not tired. Like, I can't explain it, but it doesn't even matter once you're up. But also that the day goes by so fast. So like, no matter what time you get up, it doesn't really matter, honestly. Like, it just, you get going and you're excited. And honestly, I'm cool with the day being longer because I want it to last longer. So I got up at 5. And how this worked was my husband was in the house. We already have a condo. And so we both slept here the night before, but I didn't want us to see each other until the wedding. I didn't want us to wake up next to each other, as corny as that sounds. So he slept on the couch and I slept in bed. He got up, I think, at like 4 o'clock and he went to his family's house. So by the time I got up at 5, he was not here. And so that's how we did that. I know some people do hotels or stay at friends' houses or whatever. That's what worked for us. So I woke up at 5 and I was ready for everybody to arrive between 5:45 and 6. So this was the bridal party and the moms coming for hair and makeup. And so then shortly after, hair and makeup started, and that was absolutely amazing. No complaints, no surprise, because I knew exactly who I was using, and they were just awesome. So they killed it, knocked it out of the park. During this time, I made sure to eat like a bagel and all the stuff. For me, I wasn't worried about like blow and fitting into a dress and all that kind of stuff. So I know some people try to avoid carbs or things like that. I was like, the more carbs, the better. So I definitely ate, and I drank lots of water. One thing that I always tell my clients is make sure you're drinking water during the getting ready process. You want to be hydrated before the wedding even starts, because once it starts, you hit the ground running and you may not drink for a while and you don't realize how that can affect you until you sit down and then you want to collapse. So we don't want any fainting. My videographer arrived between 9:30 and 10. My ready time for hair and makeup was about 10:30. And so this was perfect because he started to get kind of interviews for my bridal party and behind the scenes shots and things like that. And they're really nice to look back on. And then we had a van that was going to transport us from the condo to the venue. We hired them and that was awesome. They got here early. They were supposed to come at 11 and they actually got here probably like 10:30 or 10:45, which was amazing because then we were able to get everything in the car and go, and there was no issues. We were getting married at a venue where you could only be there 2 hours before the ceremony started. And that's pretty typical with a lot of venues around here. Honestly, I love when people get ready at venues that let you be there all day because I just think that's more fun and convenient. But that was not the case for us. So we chose to get ready here because it saved money. I mean, let's be real. So I did not want to purchase a hotel room, especially a big enough hotel room, for 1 or 2 nights up near our venue just for getting ready. So, and we knew we were coming back here at the end of the wedding night. So we're not having a hotel for that. We needed someone to drive us though, because now my husband already brought his car, obviously. So he was going to be the one driving us back at the end of the night. And so it obviously didn't make sense for our car to also be, another car to also be there. And in addition, the bridal party and people got dropped off here. So there weren't cars like lingering outside. So then everybody who had like significant others and people who came with them, there was one car up at the venue. And so they were able to just drive home at the end of the night. So a lot of strategy and planning goes into this, as you can see. So the van brought us, it's about a 45-minute drive. They brought us, it was great. They drove safe. It was awesome. And it got us there about 15 minutes early. We were actually a little earlier than 12, but the venue was cool with that. It's just a few minutes. And so let's see. I'm just kind of going along the blog post to jog my memory. So we also had to strategically plan this. We tried to get my husband and his groomsmen and everybody there slightly after 12 because we didn't want to run into each other. And so there was strategy behind that. It all worked out. Nobody saw anybody. And so that was great. In addition to this, our venue has the capability of having 2 weddings happen at once. There's just 2 different sides. But thankfully, because I got married in December, which is off season, there was no other wedding happening on the other side. So this came in handy a couple times. The first time it came in handy was for the men to have their own area and own side spread out, take good pictures, things like that, because there was only one bridal suite on our side, so we were there. So they were able to utilize that whole other side, which was really cool. And another time that came in handy was for the family pictures after the ceremony. And we were able to go there, so we weren't outside for all of that. So during the time of 12 to 2, it's funny because I was like, oh, it's 2 hours. Like, it's going to drag on. I'm going to be anxious the whole time for the ceremony. No. Like, when I tell you that once you get there and you have your photographer there, videographer, whoever's going to be there, things just go. And it's just nonstop. And you're like, everything's a well-oiled machine and you're just this player in these plays. Basically, like, they're like, all right, time to do this. You gotta move here now. You gotta get dressed now. You gotta, like, it's very hectic. So just prepare yourself mentally for that. But during this 2 hours is when we did, when our bridal party was in our robes, we did pictures like that. We did a gift and letter exchange between me and my husband. So we each gave each other gifts, which those were separately done. And so, like, there were 2 photographers, 2 videographers. One was with each and did those. The letter we exchanged when we did our first touch. So we did not do a first look, but we did a first touch, which was basically just around the corner, so neither of us could see each other, and we exchanged the letters. And that was funny because we kind of like almost missed. And then we read the letters. There were pictures, videos taken, all of that stuff, and it was just a sweet kind of moment to look forward to right before we got married. And I also did a first look with my dad. So I hadn't seen my dad the whole morning leading up to this. He was hanging out with all the guys. And I did that, and that honestly is where I lost it for the first time. So obviously I was all dressed, I was all ready, and he hadn't seen me, and he turned around and he walked to me. Now this is something that I will suggest to you. I've seen first looks with dads done a couple ways. Either he walks to you or you walk to him. And our videographer was strategic, and he said, no, he's going to walk to you, because then it's more like impactful. He gets to see the full you, like everything put together, versus if I walked to him and I did the little like tap on the shoulder and then he turned around, I'm so close that it's like less to take in. And so I thought, now looking back, I'm like, that's very smart. So, and also like, oh my gosh, I was nervous as it is. So I'm kind of glad he had to walk to me. But it was one of my most favorite moments. It's a moment I will never forget. And I have it on both photos and videos. I'm trying not to get choked up right now, but, it's something that will always be there when he is not, and it's just something that I definitely recommend everybody who is a daddy's girl do. It's a very special moment, and obviously only happens once in your life. Yeah, we both lost it, and that's when I first sobbed. That's when I sobbed the most, honestly, the entire day. I got a lot of it out then, which honestly helped with my jitters when I had to walk down the aisle and do my vows, which I'll get to. But yeah, that's what happened in those first 2 hours kind of leading up. What was cute was leading up to the ceremony, my bridal party and the moms and everybody left the bridal suite when everybody's coming in. So everyone's filing in. This is an indoor ceremony because it's December in Connecticut. And they have to go past the bridal suite to get to sitting down. So we're in the bridal suite, doors are closed, nobody's allowed in, because obviously everyone would see you. And what they did was the coordinator brought my dad back, and it was just us two. And obviously he was walking me down the aisle. And so we just kind of had another moment where it was just the two of us, and I was already like pretty emotionally drained. And still, I was getting very nervous to walk down the aisle, but it was a sweet moment to just kind of have where we were talking about it and we're like, oh my gosh, like, here we go. And it was nice to have that moment, just the two of us for a few minutes while the bridal party and everybody was like lining up. Now, the first thing that I wanted to point out that went wrong, because there were, believe it or not, things that went wrong. And what I will tell you is, with every wedding, that is inevitable. It will happen. Whether it's a tiny thing or a massive, you don't know. Just things will go wrong. And it's something that I tell all my brides, prepare for, but it'll still be worth it. In the grand scheme of things, it will not ruin your day. So, the first thing was I forgot a special hanger that I ordered off Etsy to hang my dress on for photos when we were getting ready. So I was going to bring it so that they could hang it at the venue and while everyone else was getting dressed and they could do those photos. Completely forgot it. I had everything else, but I forgot that one thing. And the ironic part is I almost didn't order that hanger. I was like, it's a detail, that's whatever. I don't need it. And then I ordered it at the last minute and I completely forgot it. And so I'm like, that's cool. So what ended up happening was we had a dog sitter who was helping us bring our dog Missy to the ceremony to walk down the aisle and be included in the pictures. She arrived like in the nick of time. Our cameras in our house went off and I called her and I'm like, can you please grab the hanger and like when you get here, I'll just take it. And it was one of those where I was waiting as long as possible to get dressed because I just really wanted a couple pictures with that hanger because I'm like, it's such a waste if I don't. So when I tell you that she got to the venue in the nick of time, she literally was like running to get me the hanger. She was amazing. She got there like literally when I was like, you have to get dressed because I still had to do the first look with my dad and the first touch with my husband and like all this stuff. So they got a couple pictures with it. Most of the pictures have just a standard white hanger that the venue had, but I got a couple in there. So it all worked out, but it was kind of a little crazy moment. And honestly, I was like, if that's all that goes wrong today, that's not bad. Like, that's itty bitty. But of course, it also wasn't all that went wrong. Okay, so then fast forward to the ceremony. Here's where something that I still think of went wrong. Everyone's walking down the aisle. Obviously, they're doing their thing. They're great. They're amazing. Then it comes time when my song is going to come on, and I have to walk down the aisle. I had told my DJ that there were two song choices I was going between. I was torn. There was Never Enough from The Greatest Showman, which I thought like the beginning of that, just it's gorgeous and it's just like the mood is set, the wording, like everything about it is a really cute song to walk down the aisle to, and it's also less common. And so I thought it was cool. But I wanted to do it at rehearsal to make sure that like it didn't start getting into the intense part of the song before we actually got to the altar because it just wouldn't sound right then. And so long story short, at rehearsal, it worked. It was great. I was like, all right, this is awesome. And I said my second choice, if that didn't work, was, I think it was a piano. Was it piano or guitar now? I think it's piano version of Lover by Taylor Swift, which that started playing. And I immediately, like I was confused at first because I was waiting for the other song and then I was like, why isn't it starting? And then I realized when everyone's standing up and like waiting for me to go, I was like, it's the wrong song. I literally blurted out, I was like, it's the wrong song. And so our coordinator from the venue, he's like, well, because he even asked, he's like, is that the right song? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, you gotta go anyway. I'll never forget he said that. And I mean, it's true. What are you gonna do? So we ended up walking to that song, which, I mean, I guess other people had told me after the fact they thought it was a really sweet choice. And so I'm not terribly mad, but it's just one of those things that I'm like, I really wanted that moment with the other song. And so it's just kind of a bummer. But walked down the aisle and it was amazing. I will tell you what my videographer told me. When you are walking down the aisle and you first see each other, lock eyes and just focus on each other as you walk because it helps. First of all, you're excited, and I think that comes through better in the photos and videos. And also, then you're not focused on other people, which makes you more nervous. I feel like if I were to have actually locked eyes with people in the crowd, I would have gotten so much more nervous as I walked through. So, do that. It's a really nice moment. So our ceremony was perfect. When I tell you it felt like it went by in 2 minutes, I'm not kidding. It was probably honestly like a 15, 20-minute ceremony. It's not anything long. We didn't do it in a church. We didn't do a mass. We didn't do anything crazy. So it is a pretty quick ceremony, but I almost wanted it to last longer because I thought that that was like the sweet part, you know? Like I really liked it. Our Justice of the Peace was phenomenal. We incorporated a rope tying piece, which now lives in our bedroom. And we came up with our own vows. We did an addition to some vows that she wrote, and it was amazing. He cried. I cried a little. Again, I was pretty cried out from the first look with my dad, but I did a little bit, and you could hear it in my voice in the video. And I did a flub during the ring ceremony. It happens. It really does. And it was honestly hysterical. So everybody laughed, and there's a great picture of it. It's on my blog post, and I look at that and I smile. I think that was really fun. Honestly, if you flub during your ceremony, I promise it's not the end of the world. You might feel embarrassed in the moment, but it's also kind of fun. Like, it just kind of adds a personal touch, as silly as that sounds. So after the ceremony, like I said, we did all of our pictures. We did family, so both sides of the family, everybody incorporated inside, and then we went outside to do bridal party pictures and bride and groom pictures. It was cold. It was winter in New England, but I wanted the nice lighting. And my bridal party were such champs. They were all amazing. The guys and the girls, I am so appreciative that they did that and nobody uttered a word, at least to me. Nobody complained about it, so thank you to that. But we did that. I wore like a little faux fur shawl thing for the bridal party pictures, and then I took it off for the bride and groom pictures because I wanted to be somewhat warm, but I also liked my dress. I wanted my dress to show, so that's what I did, and I was freezing by the end of it. We specifically did the bridal party pictures first so they could go inside and warm up while we were continuing. So, but great pictures. If anything, I would say I see the appeal with a first look because I do wish we had a little more time for pictures for the two of us. Looking back, there are a few poses that I think I would have liked to incorporate, and just a little more time for that. So I get the appeal of a first look. However, I still don't think for me I would have done one. I really liked that moment coming down the aisle, but it's such a personal preference. So after photos, it was time for the reception and it was time for our entrance. We had everybody enter to a different song, which was fun, and then we actually choreographed our own entrance dance, which was really cool. So nobody knew that we were doing it. And I think nobody assumed it was going to happen because when I even brought the idea to my husband, I didn't know if he'd want to. It was like a 50-50. I'm like, like it's going to be a no. And then I was so shocked when he was, not only did he want to, but he was excited about it. So that was really cool. And so we practiced for weeks. We practiced so hard, and it went great. We were so nervous, but it was awesome. And looking back, like, we killed it, and we were just so proud of ourselves. But what I will say is this is another thing that went wrong. So the DJ caught us right before the entrance, and he was like, do these all look correct? Yada, yada, all that. And I was like, yeah. And I told him, so we were entering to Finesse by Bruno Mars and Cardi B. And he was going to extend the entrance manually so that I had time to walk to the middle of the dance floor because the intro was so fast. And so he said he was going to do that. I reminded him, I'm like, so you have the extended intro, right? And he's like, yeah. When our song came on, it was not the extended intro. Now, to give you an idea, we practiced for an extended intro to make it like another little like funny bit, which never got to see the light of day. And when I heard, because they're a bit different, I heard that it was not extended. We were ready to do the part together, but because it was going to be just my part, so my part, there's a part where I do alone on the dance floor, and then he comes in and joins me, and then we do it together. I heard that it was the regular song, and when I tell you I had to run and he didn't even realize what was going on. It was one of those moments where, like, I'm glad I caught it, because it was like you may not have processed it in time. But we couldn't do the dance at the doorway because nobody would see. So I had to go out to the floor. So when I tell you I ran, I didn't wear stilettos or high heels. I wore like little wedges for this reason, because I would have tripped. I'm so glad I didn't trip. And that my dress was altered correctly. But yeah, so I ran to the dance floor, and honestly, looking back, I'm like, it was kind of a fun way to do it, because I think me running in got people more excited, so it kind of ended up working out. But I did that, started doing my dance, he joined, we did it, and we were just so excited that when we got to our first dance, which was right after, we were just like on cloud nine. We were like so excited. We were like, we actually did that. Like, it was so cool. So we didn't have a choreographed first dance. That was just like normal, you know, slow dancing, little dip, little spin, things like that. But I thought this was a really unique thing to do for us. So I definitely recommend a little kind of fun thing like that somewhere in your wedding. The reception went well. We had our first dance, and then there were multiple bridal party speeches. I had a maid and a matron of honor, and then he had 2 best men, and so there were 4 speeches, which that's personal preference, how you want to handle that. We had the father-daughter dance, the mother-son dance. We did a bouquet toss, but we did not do the garter toss. We were just not for that. That's just not for us. So we got rid of that. We did cake cutting, and then we did the shoe game in place of the garter toss. So that was really fun. So we're back to back in chairs, and we submit questions that we think would be funny to answer in front of people. So it'll be like, you know, who's the better driver, and I don't know, who does the dishes more, like, I don't know, just random stuff. And it's funny because if you both put the same shoe up, or different shoes up, then it's funny because you're thinking, well, I do that more. And he's like, no, I do that more. It's just kind of silly, and gets people giggling. So we did that instead. We also snuck out during the reception to get some photos in the dark, which was really cool because we had purple uplighting in the venue, and there's this big window, and we were outside below it, and it was silhouette, and it was really, really cool. And so we did that. We did a gazebo picture and things like that. And yeah, it went well. I will say, as far as greeting people, because it is very important to greet everybody who's come to your wedding, because it's seen as an insult if you don't, just because everyone's made the time and effort and money and all that to be there. Some people do it right after their ceremony. If you've had a first look, that comes in handy. You can kind of do a line of people and say hi to everybody right after, and it's faster, and then you can enjoy cocktail hour. But because we had pictures during cocktail hour, we did the like table to table thing. And how we did it was we ate our first course. So obviously we get served first. We ate our first course, which was like a pasta dish. And then we got up when everyone else was getting served, and we said hi to everybody, went to every table, hugged everyone, said hi. And so by the time then we got back to our seats, our dinners were there. So we were able to still eat dinner while some people were like finishing up. And then they did get started on dancing and stuff while we finished eating, but it all kind of worked out. And so we were able to time that well. Now, to give you an idea, we only had about 80 people, somewhere around there, come to our wedding. So we did have a pretty small wedding in comparison to like 100, 150, 200. So something we noticed throughout the reception that was kind of a bummer was just how many people left early. And I don't mean early like a half hour early. I mean like halfway through early. Like there's still cake cutting, plenty of dancing, probably the shoe game, bouquet toss. Like there's still plenty of things to do, and time to be had. And this was kind of a bummer to me just because, again, we strategically made it end at 8, which to us seemed pretty reasonable for a Sunday out. So we were just surprised at how many people like, had to get home to babysitters or something like that when they hired them for this reason, or they just left and didn't even tell us, or things like that. And it was kind of a bummer, especially to see like who did that and how early it was. And it also kind of cut down on like how many people were on the dance floor, so it wasn't as packed and as fun. And so that was kind of a bummer. I will say I don't know. I think that depends on maybe the crowd of people you have more than the timing, and things like that. So what was nice is we ended the whole night by doing a last dance. And now some people do it by themselves, but our videographer actually suggested that we have the people who are remaining circle around us as we do our last dance. And so this was really cool to see on both photos and video. And what happens is at the end of the first dance, when it ends, they like pushed everyone in. So like everyone was sandwiching like on us and like loving on us and that kind of thing. And that was really cool. Now, I will say this was pre-COVID, so that was the experience I had. I don't know, obviously, how that would work today, but that's how that worked for us, and it was just really special because he was the one who chose our first dance, and then I chose our last dance song, so that was also nice. We didn't do a fancy exit with flowers, rice, sparklers, or anything like that. Looking back, I kind of wish we did, but I also don't know how that would have worked, given the fact that so many people had left. I mean, we only had a handful of people at the very end of the night. And to give you an idea, our reception ended before 8. It was supposed to go till 8, but because so many people had left, it ended probably like 7:30 or 7:45 or something like that. So, looking back, it's kind of a good thing we didn't have the whole exit planned. So ultimately, I will say, when it comes to your wedding day, remember that it is completely like unlike any other day. It's so different. It's so special. And you put so much planning and effort and time and money and heart and soul and love and emotions into this that just soak it in. Just be present. Gravitate towards the people who are there to celebrate you and love you, and cheer you on, and it will be the most amazing day. The amount of love that I felt in that room was unparalleled to anything I have felt in my entire life. It really is something. Like, people were telling us when we went around to take a moment and just go to the corner of the room and soak in like who was there, and the love, because that will never happen again. Like, as much as being married is your families coming together, the chances of everybody, your friends and family, like being together in a room like that again are like slim to none. So it's just really cool to see, who showed up, who's there because they love you, and it's just really, really cool. Another tidbit that I will recommend that we did was I had to go to the bathroom a couple times. So the first time, my best friend helped me out with that, and then the second time, my husband helped me out. So definitely have your people to help with the dress situation in the bathroom. But the second time when my husband came to help me, we had like this moment for a couple minutes in the bridal suite just to ourselves. And I thought it was really cool because we were just like giddy and on cloud nine and like soaking in the moment. And we were like, wow, we just did that, and like that kind of thing. And I have told that story to so many of my brides because I think it's really important that the two of you have a moment away from everybody to kind of sit back and be in awe, because it really helps you to soak everything in and be grateful and just be present. And so I recommend that as well, especially because everybody is pulling you in 5 million directions the entire day. Like, when I tell you that everybody wants a piece of you, and I mean, everybody thinks they're the most important to get a piece of you that day, and has something special to say or something to give you, or like all this stuff, that you're all over the place. And it's great, but it's also a lot. So if you guys can have that moment to yourselves, it's really nice. Lastly, like I said, ultimately things will go wrong. Sometimes small and sometimes big. But that shouldn't ruin the fact that this is like a real life fairy tale for you. Like, if this is something you've always dreamt of, or something that you're doing for your partner that will make you happy because it makes them happy, whatever the case may be, it's one of the only moments you'll ever have in your life that is a real life fairy tale. And it's what you make of it. Obviously, you're going to have your own wedding with your own unique spins and touches on it. And just enjoy that. Soak it in. Be present. be around the ones who are going to make it the best day of your life, and it will be. So those are my fun facts. This is such a long video. I didn't realize how long I'd be talking, but I definitely wanted to just talk about it all, give you my whole perspective, and yeah, I hope that was helpful. If you are in the wedding planning process, comment down below what your wedding date is. Let's get excited. And I hope that it is the most amazing day of your life, because I think it will be. But I hope you guys enjoyed this different video from me. Be sure to give me a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe for more videos, especially beauty videos. There will be more like that coming your way soon. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.